The lighthouse felt different without Eleanor. Not emptier, exactly. Just quieter in a new way. Nathan kept the doors open, tended the rosemary, watered the new lemon balm someone had donated. He taught the Saturday morning sketch class alone. The children didn't ask where she went, but sometimes he caught them glancing at her chair. On rainy days, he sat by the window with her sea glass jar. The green piece she once called a dream catcher glinted softly in the grey light. He thought often of what they'd shared, not defined, not confined, just present. It lived in the way he brewed his tea, slightly stronger now. In the way he paused before answering questions. In the photographs he began taking again, inspired by her courage. Weeks passed. A postcard arrived from Cornwall. It was a photo of a windswept field and the words, "Found the light." Still carrying yours, E. He pinned it on the wall behind the workbench, beside a dried sprig of lavender. One morning, the rain came heavier than usual. The greenhouse shimmered with condensation. He unlocked the door and stepped inside, greeted by the hush of new growth. And there, on the central table, was a small, wrapped parcel. No note. Just the scent of cedar and a feeling he knew too well. Inside, a black and white photo of the lighthouse, sunlight slicing through its spine. And beside it, a new roll of film. Nathan smiled, not because she had returned, but because she hadn't left. Not really. Some people pass through seasons, others become them. And Eleanor? She was rain and root and sky. She was always part of the quiet. It was the third blackout that week. Ethan Ray zipped up his windbreaker and grabbed his tool bag, glancing once more at the dispatch slip. Caldwell Residence, it read, followed by a string of digits that screamed wealth. He'd done enough work in the gated neighborhoods outside Seattle to know what to expect. Manicured lawns, polite but distant residents, and homes with too many rooms and too little life. He pulled up to the driveway of the Caldwell place just before noon. The house was perched on a slope, a minimalist glass and cedar marvel that looked more like a tech museum than a place someone actually lived. He buzzed the gate. It opened without a word. Ethan drove in slowly. The silence already pressed in no dogs, no kids, no wind chimes. Just the hum of distant traffic and the soft purr of landscaping sprinklers. He was halfway to the door when it opened. She stood barefoot on the stone steps, arms crossed loosely, dressed in a dark grey sweater and linen pants. Her hair was up, not artfully, but carelessly like someone who used to care about appearances, and now simply didn't have the time. "Power's out again," she said, voice even. "Third time since Monday. Mira Caldwell," she nodded. "I'm Ethan. Tech Spark Electrical. Let me take a look." She stepped aside without a word. Inside, the house was quiet to the point of sacred. Every surface gleamed. Every line was intentional, but it didn't feel like a home. It felt curated. "The breaker's in the garage," she said, leading him past a floor-to-ceiling wine fridge and into a hallway that smelled like lemon oil and cold tile. The box was massive digital, voice-enabled, and state-of-the-art. And completely miswired. He crouched down. "Fancy setup," he muttered. "Bought the place with it," Mira said from behind him. "Apparently the previous owner liked overcomplicating things," Ethan grinned. "A man after my own heart." That earned him the ghost of a smile. 20 minutes later, the lights flickered back on. He stood, wiping his hands on a cloth. Should be stable now. One of the sub-panels was wired in reverse. "I fixed the relay, but you might want a full inspection sometime soon." Mira tilted her head. "How soon?" He hesitated. "Soon enough that you don't call me again next week." She surprised him by laughing, a short, dry sound, but real. "I'll think about it." As he packed up, she lingered. "Do you want coffee?" Ethan looked up, startled. She met his gaze, not flirtatious, not desperate, just curious. He found himself nodding. Sure, that was how it began. Not with sparks, but with circuits. The kitchen was immaculate. Stainless steel appliances, matte black countertops, and a chrome espresso machine that looked like it belonged in a lab. Ethan perched on one of the stools while Mira moved fluidly through the space, grinding beans with practiced efficiency. "You make a lot of coffee?" he asked. "Only when I forget to sleep," she replied. He chuckled. "Is that often?" She handed him a small, elegant cup. "Lately, They sat in the strange stillness of the house, the sound of rain tapping faintly on the glass walls. "So, what do you actually do?" he asked. "Other than for getting sleep." "I used to run a venture capital firm," Mira said. "Still sit on some boards. Mostly tech startups, and now." She looked down at her cup. "Now I try not to think about what I used to be good at." Ethan sipped, letting that hang. "Fair enough," he said finally. "Most people never admit that out loud." Mira's lips curved slightly. "And what about you?" "Always been an electrician." "Not always. Music school dropout. Guitarist in a band that almost went somewhere. Then real life." "Do you miss it?" "Every time I hear a song I used to play." She nodded, understanding something unspoken. The coffee grew cold between them, but neither moved. Ethan set down his cup. "This house, it's beautiful, but it doesn't feel like you." Mira blinked. "What makes you say that?" "It's too silent. Like someone designed it to impress people who never came." She looked at him for a long moment. "That's exactly what happened." Outside, the rain fell harder. Inside, something softened. They didn't speak much after that. But when Ethan stood to leave, she walked him to the door. "Come back," she said, "when you have time." He raised an eyebrow. "For another blackout?" "No," she said quietly. "Just come back," he nodded. And just like that, he knew he would. Ethan didn't call. He just showed up. Tuesday morning, just after 9, with a paper bag of pastries from a corner bakery and 2 cups of coffee he knew wouldn't match Mira's standards. Still, he knocked. She opened the door barefoot again, in a soft charcoal hoodie and faded jeans. Her eyes flicked to the bag, then to him. "You're back," she said. "You said to come." Mira stepped aside. He followed her to the kitchen. She took the coffee without complaint, sipped, and made a face. "Burnt beans," she said, "carefully selected by the finest convenience store in King County," Ethan replied. Her laugh was quiet but warm. "You're persistent." "I'm curious." Mira tilted her head. "About?" "You," he said. She blinked, surprised. "Most people just want to know about the money." "I'm not most people." A pause. Then she said, "Come upstairs." The second floor was flooded with natural light. It was less curated here, books stacked haphazardly, art leaning against walls, a small record player on the floor. Mira gestured to a room at the end of the hall. "My studio," she said. It was filled with canvases, some painted, some blank. Sketches, notes pinned to corkboards. A half-finished mural of an ocean storm climbed the far wall. "You paint?" Ethan asked. "I used to," she said. "Stopped when I started working. Started again when I realized I couldn't remember who I was." He walked slowly around the space. "You're good. I'm unfinished," she corrected. They stood in front of the mural together. "I like this," Ethan said. "The storm's not over, but it's moving." Mira looked at him. "That's the point." They spent the rest of the morning upstairs. She showed him her favorite brushes. He talked about music and why C minor always felt like dusk. When he left, she walked him to the door again. "Thursday," he said. "What happens Thursday?" "I bring better coffee." She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "I'll be here." And for the first time in a long time, Mira felt like maybe she wasn't waiting alone. Thursday came with sunshine. Ethan arrived with a French press and locally roasted beans in hand. Mira met him at the door before he knocked, her hair still damp from a shower, wearing a crisp white shirt and no makeup. "Smells like redemption," she said, eyeing the bag. "Only the best," Ethan replied. "You grind, I pour." They brewed the coffee together in the kitchen comfortably, rhythmically. It felt almost like something they'd done 100 times. After the first sips, Mira nodded. "Acceptable?" Ethan raised a brow. "That's high praise from you." She led him upstairs again, this time to the smaller room adjacent to her studio. "Your turn," she said. The space was sparse, just a stool, a stand, and Ethan's beat-up acoustic guitar. He blinked. "You set this up." "I found your band online," she said. "You didn't think I was curious too." He sat, slightly flushed, then adjusted the strap over his shoulder. "It's been a while," he played. Soft chords at first, the kind that filled a room without dominating it. Mira sat cross-legged on the floor, head tilted. The song was something he'd never recorded. a melody he wrote during his father's final days. No lyrics, just feeling. When he finished, the silence was thick with unspoken things. Mira's eyes were glassy. That hurt beautifully. He looked down. It's the only way I know how to speak sometimes. She got up slowly, went to a nearby cabinet, and returned with a small, worn cassette tape. This was my brother's, she said. We used to make mixtapes together. This one, I've never played for anyone. Ethan held it reverently. Can I? She nodded. He placed it in the old stereo nearby. Static, then a young male voice. To Mira, for rainy days. Then the first song, something punk, fast and clumsy. Mira laughed through her tears. We were chaos. They listened for a while, saying little, letting the songs fill what silence didn't need to say. When the tape ended, she looked at him. I miss him most when things are good, she said softly. Like I want to pull him into this moment too. Ethan reached out, took her hand. He's here. I can hear him. Mira didn't pull away. Outside, the light shifted. Inside, something else had begun to settle. It started with a leaky sink. Mira mentioned it casually, almost apologetically, over toast on a Monday morning. Guest bathroom. Slow drip. Probably nothing. Ethan offered to take a look. 1 hour, tops. By lunchtime, the 1 hour fix had turned into a full cabinet removal and a heated debate about replacing the entire vanity. I'm just saying, Ethan said, crouched beneath the sink. This is rotting from the inside. Whoever built this installed the pipes like they were laying out spaghetti. Mira, arms folded, leaned in the doorway. Do you always get this passionate about plumbing? Only when it's a metaphor. She arched her brow. For what? For pretending everything looks perfect on the outside when the foundation is a mess. Mira fell silent. He didn't push. They went to the hardware store together. Picked out tiles and brackets, argued about faucet design. For a moment, it felt like they were playing house, two people building something, choosing small things together. But halfway through reassembly, Mira stepped away. Too quiet. Too long. Ethan found her in the backyard, sitting on the cold stone steps, clutching a yellowed envelope. He sat beside her. My brother's last letter, she said. I found it behind the cabinet. Must have slid down years ago. Ethan didn't speak. She handed it to him. It wasn't long. A handful of lines. You don't have to hold everything together, Mira. You're allowed to fall apart. I'd still come find you. Tears welled. Mira looked away, ashamed. I built this house like armor, she whispered. Turns out, I just trapped everything inside with me. Ethan put an arm around her. Not tight, just there. You're not trapped, he said. You opened the door. She leaned into him, just a little. And they sat like that, the faucet forgotten, as the sky shifted above them. Sometimes, a leak wasn't just a leak. Sometimes, it was the start of breaking things open. The storm hit just after midnight. Rain drummed on the roof like impatient fingers, and wind pressed against the glass walls of Mira's house in heavy, aching waves. The power snapped off with a sharp pop that sent the silence roaring. Mira padded through the dark to find Ethan already in the hallway, flashlight in hand. You okay? He asked. Just startled, she said. You! I've seen worse. Let's check the breaker. They descended to the garage together, shadows twisting around their footsteps. Ethan opened the box, scanned the panels. Nothing tripped, he muttered. This is grid failure. So we wait. Or we talk? Mira hesitated. They settled in the living room, wrapped in throws, the lantern between them casting flickering light. The room smelled like rain and memory. You used to sing, didn't you? She asked softly. Ethan nodded. In bars, basements, anywhere that would pay. Why did you stop? My father's diagnosis. And maybe fear. That I wouldn't make it out of the dream. She studied him. You're not afraid now. He met her gaze. Only of losing this. Mira's breath caught. We haven't even named this. Ethan leaned forward. I don't need to name it to know it's real. She looked away. I haven't let anyone stay overnight here in 4 years. He didn't push. Just reached for her hand. I'm not asking to stay, he said. I'm asking what you'd want if the lights never came back on. Mira turned to him, the storm outside echoing the quiet storm between them. I'd want you, she said. And in the dark, surrounded by things unspoken, they let go of some of their silence. Not all of it, but enough. The lights stayed off until morning, but something in them had lit. Morning brought calm skies and scattered debris. Mira made coffee with deliberate grace, her robe loose, hair tied up with a silk ribbon that didn't match the rest of her. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, eyes still soft from sleep. They didn't speak about the night. Not yet. But there was something different in the air, like they'd crossed into another room of the same house and hadn't quite looked around yet. I forgot how good quiet mornings can feel, Mira said, sliding his cup across the table. Ethan took a sip. They only work if you want someone in them. Her eyes flicked to his. I did. A pause. Then a small smile. They spent the day fixing storm damage. Mira in boots too nice for mud, Ethan laughing every time she cursed the wind. They patched a loose shutter, cleared branches, swept puddles from the patio. In the afternoon, they lay on the living room floor, exhausted. I feel like we built a whole new wing of this relationship, Ethan said, staring at the ceiling. We did, Mira replied. It has bad wiring but excellent views. Then her phone buzzed. She checked it. Froze. What is it? Ethan asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she turned the screen to him. A name he didn't know. A message. Need to talk. Emergency. Come to HQ. It's one of the old boards I used to serve on, Mira said. I haven't heard from them in over a year. Go, he said. I'll wait here. But she hesitated. I'm afraid if I walk back into that world, I won't know how to walk out again. Ethan stood. Then leave a light on. I'll be here. Mira nodded slowly, kissed his cheek, and grabbed her coat. The door shut gently behind her. And for the first time since they met, Ethan felt the house hold its breath. Mira didn't return that night. Ethan paced the living room, checked the time, then checked it again. Midnight turned to 2. The house felt cavernous without her, each shadow longer than the last. At 3:15 a.m., a message buzzed through. Still at HQ. It's complicated. I'll call tomorrow. He stared at it for a while before responding. I'm here. Be safe. The next day stretched. Then another. 3 total. No call. When she finally returned, it was Friday afternoon. Her car rolled up the drive slowly, like it didn't want to be noticed. Ethan stepped out to meet her. She looked tired. Beyond tired, like someone who had argued too long with ghosts. I'm sorry, she said. I'm not mad, Ethan replied, but I don't know where you went, or if you were planning to come back. Mira leaned against the car, exhaling. They want me to step in. Temporarily, the CEO stepping down early. They said I'm the only one who understands the original roadmap. Are you going to do it? I told them I needed the weekend to decide. Ethan looked away. And if you say yes? She didn't answer. They walked inside together, but something in the rhythm was broken. That night, over dinner, Ethan asked, Why did you leave all that? Mira toyed with her fork. Because I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. Someone I didn't like. And now? Now I don't know who I am without it. Ethan reached across the table. You're the woman who painted storms and made space for me when I didn't even know I needed it. She gripped his hand. And you're the man who made me believe I could be something outside a boardroom. But that's not always enough, he said. No, she whispered. It isn't. The silence that followed wasn't cruel, just honest. Like 2 wires that once sparked now cooling in the dark. The weekend passed in a slow drift. Mira was present, but not there. She moved through the house like a visitor in her own skin, answering Ethan with half smiles and silences. On Sunday morning, she stood in front of the studio wall, staring at the storm mural. It was unfinished, always had been, but now it felt like it would stay that way. Ethan approached quietly. You've already decided, haven't you? Mira turned to him, guilt lining her face. They need me. And what do you need? She looked down. To remember who I was, or who I'm supposed to be, he nodded slowly. Then I won't stop you. But it means leaving this, she said. You, us. Ethan stepped closer. I don't regret a single second. Mira's voice cracked. I just wish I knew how to want both. You do, he said. But sometimes, wiring only carries one current at a time. They didn't say goodbye. Not really. She left Monday at dawn, a single suitcase, no promises. Ethan watched from the porch as her taillights disappeared into the fog. Then he went inside, sat on the couch, held the sea glass jar in his hands. The green piece shimmered faintly in the light. A remnant. A reminder. Not of what was lost, but of what had been possible. Months passed. The house stayed quiet. Ethan picked up more work, travelled a little, played a few weekend gigs with an old friend from music school, but he always came home to the same porch, the same silence, the same memory of someone barefoot in a grey sweater watching coffee brew. He kept the studio just as Mira left it. Dust settled gently, but he didn't cover the mural. Sometimes he'd add a line to its small waves curling toward shore, a streak of gold in the clouds. Then one Tuesday, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a sketchbook, leather-bound, filled with ink drawings and notes in Mira's handwriting. On the last page, a plane ticket, one way, London. He stared at it for a long time. Then he packed. London was grey and full of noise. Mira met him outside a converted chapel that now hosted artist residencies. She wore black boots and a red scarf, her hair shorter. Her eyes the same. "You came," she said. "You asked," he replied. They walked along the Thames in silence. "I'm not who I was," she said. "Neither am I." They paused on a footbridge. Mira pulled something from her pocket. The green sea glass. "I carried it every day," she said. Ethan took her hand. "Come home," he said. Mira looked at him. "You still have the house," he smiled. "I kept the power on." And somewhere between old currents and new circuits, they closed the loop.